If you've watched enough of my videos, eventually this following thought will come into your mind. What's wrong with this guy and black swans? Why is he always talking about black swans? They never occur, or at least they have a 0.001% chance of occurring. So why is this guy always talking about black swans? What is this guy's deal? See, yes, they happen 0.001% of the time. Maybe they happen 0.0000001% of the time. And yet, they always happen to me. I don't know who I offended in my previous life. I don't know who cursed me, but they always happen to me. Which is why I need to stress, and why I keep stressing the fact that although the likelihood of a black swan event occurring is minute, is almost negligible, it is still a possibility. It is still plausible that a black swan event will occur. I strive to try to make all my actions as robust and as anti-fragile as possible, and I still fail most of the time, which is why I always stress this. There's been numerous occasions. I had an option video previously talking about how there are risks in selling options that you maybe have gone under the radar just because of how often influencers, articles, YouTubers, all these finfluencers, I guess they're called, all these people always tout the benefits, the like it's passive income or whatever, right? I talked about this in another video, so I'm not going to go over it again. But there are real risks involving black swans, and whenever something says you have a 95% chance of success, you have a 99% chance of success, that 1%, that 5% is still a substantial amount, especially in my case. I'm going to go over a few of the, we'll call them mishaps, regarding options and rolling options that I have encountered, which have shaped how I work with options to this day. So, you might think that, well, black swan events never occur, and if they do occur, what's the chance of it affecting me, right? Let's go over a few of my black swan encounters. If you don't know what rolling an option is, basically, it boils down to you're giving yourself you're taking a loss now and kind of shifting that possible loss to the future. In a sense, you're realizing a loss, but then in your mind, you're kind of justifying it because you're somehow changing your position so that you don't feel as bad for losing your previous position. So, for example, if you wrote a call for $100, right, and the stock is now at $150, well, you lost. Let's be honest, you lost, right? But you can push your strike price up to maybe $105 or $110. All you have to do is you give the contract holder, or you give the contract holder, even though it's not really the same contract, but whatever, you extend the time period. So instead of having 5 more days in the contract, now you have 50 days, 90 days, 100 days. You technically lost, but whatever. It just makes option riders feel better when you roll an option out and up, or up, out and down, depending if it's a call or a put. Anyways, I will never, ever roll an option in 2 legs, which means I will never first buy an option back and then sell an option later. I will always, your brokerage should have, or your brokerage should have an option that will let you roll out in one action, and it will consist of a 2 legs, right? 2-legged option where you buy and you sell all in the same action, all in the same trade. Why will I never split these 2 up? My first black swan encounter was I was in the middle of a rollover or a rollout position. I was rolling out calls in 2021 Jackson Hole Conference. If you don't know, that was literally the peak of the market before the market hit the fan. You don't understand. I lost so much money that day. Oh, excuse me. I lost so much money that day. Right? The next, okay, well, now you know. whenever you're doing these types of trades, whenever you're doing any type of trade, make sure you have on your calendar, you take note of all the big possible events that might occur, right? So that day I was just being stupid. I didn't realize that Jerome Powell was speaking that day, and then he spoke, and then the markets went down the shitter. The second, okay, so basically from what you will learn from that is you have to be prepared, make note of any possible event that might affect the stock market, and then you'll be prepared, right? So okay, well, I mean, if you were prepared, if you knew about this meeting, you wouldn't have encountered this black swan, right? It's not a black swan because you would have already known that it would have had a big impact on the stock market. Sure, I'll give you that. Second encounter with a black swan event. Do you remember when Ukraine accidentally flew a missile or flew a rocket into Poland, and then the entire world thought that it was Russia that hit Poland, and then we were worried that Poland would join and World War III would begin? Who remembers that day? I remember that day. Why? Because I was mid rollover, or is it rollout? I was mid rollover on a contract. How do you predict? How do you predict that? How do you account for that when you're rolling out options? Oh, well, maybe Russia might, maybe Poland, no, sorry, maybe Ukraine might accidentally fire a rocket and miss Russia and then hit Poland, and then potentially might accidentally start World War III. You don't know that. And I did not know that. And then, well, I was down a few $100s. Thank you very much, Poland. Oh, sorry, not even Poland. Thank you very much, Ukraine. I appreciate it. There's a bajillion of these black swan events that occur. And the problem is that right now, our economy, the stock market is so interconnected that a black swan in any company might affect your position, right? It could be some company way out of the blue that you never even heard of. And that company, a black swan that happened to that company, could affect your company that you're invested in, that you're looking at, right? So look at CrowdStrike. Who knew that CrowdStrike would have done some intern pushed some code, and it destroyed the market that day, right? Or look at like Israel flying rocket, or was it Israel or was it Iran or Iraq? I forgot which one. It was one of those. I'm sorry, my memory is bad, but one of those countries flew rockets, and then on that Thursday, I remember it was a Thursday because, again, my luck, that market went right. It was going like this, and then on that aftermarket, right? So black swans, although they don't occur often per company, right? They happen all the time. And it could be a positive black swan, it could be a negative black swan, right? For example, we can look at some positive black swans. Like a month ago, Spire Global, I woke up and Spire Global was up $4, $5, right? That's a positive black swan. If you're writing calls, how do you account for that? You can't account for that, right? It's not an earnings call, it's just some random thing that happened. Another thing, Matterport talking with CoStar. You can't account for that. Their stock rose like 300%, right? You can't account for these things, right? So that's why I always talk about black swan events, and I always talk about how although the likelihood of a black swan event occurring is small, it's very possible, right? It's not very likely, but it's very possible. The chance is still there. And especially in an economy, in a stock market where everything is interconnected, a black swan event occurring in one specific company at one specific time may not be that likely, but a black swan event occurring over the course of the entire time period, right, that you're invested in the stock, invested in the stock market, occurring to any of the companies that are somehow involved, or any of the companies or any of the governments that are somehow involved or somehow connected to the company that you're working on, may not be that small, right? It's the same thing where it's like The chance of you having the same birthday as someone else is 1 in 365, right? I think, or 1 in 365. God, but the chance of you having the same birthday as someone else in your class of 30 is 1 in 2. So as the economy becomes more and more connected, you have to be more and more, you have to strive to be as robust as you can, and strive to be as observant and as prepared for any black swan event that might occur, right? That's why I always preach, I always talk about black swan events, right? Another example that might ring some bells, Keith Gill posting that gamer meme, right? I was selling calls on GameStop at $10, $11 because I was like, well, I mean, it's been here forever. And then Keith Gill sells, or he posts he posts a meme of some dude sitting up. How do you prepare for that? How do you account for that in your calculation of, oh, well, this option strategy has a 85.7% chance of success? You can't, right? That's just this, they're just looking at standard deviations that don't mean anything, right? That's why I always talk, that's why I'm so obsessed with black swans, because they always happen to me. And in the economy, in the stock market, where everything is connected, I keep saying this, where everything is connected, the chance of a black swan event occurring to anything that might affect you is much higher than a black swan event occurring to that single thing, right? And if a black swan in anything occurring affects you, then that black swan event basically just is affecting that company. So that's why I'm so obsessed with black swans. I'm just trying to be as robust as I can, because I've been burnt way too many times, and I hope to share this message. Just realize there are risks, realize no matter how small the possibility of a black swan event occurring is, it is still a possibility. That's it. Have a good day. Be safe. And make money. Make money. That's all we want to do. We just want to make money. And don't be like me and don't lose money.